welcome back to season 2 of Driving Performance. I'm your host, Tom Shea, the co-founder of Agile Media Group. Excited to introduce Rosa Lee, the founder and CEO of Wildwonder. Launched in 2020, Wildwonder makes wellness accessible, starting with a better drink for gut health. They craft delicious sparkling beverages with live vegan probiotics, prebiotic plant fiber, and super herbs. Think kombucha benefits without the vinegary taste or refined sugar. Rosa, welcome to Driving Performance.
Thank you. Thanks for having me, Tom.
Yeah.
Really excited to be here.
Of course. And last Expo East, any final words or core memories from your expos over the years as we send it into the distance?
Honestly, I'm sad that this is over because I prefer Expo East over Expo West. It's just smaller format. We get to have more in-depth conversations with everyone. It's not complete chaos where everyone is just swarming by our booth and grabbing drinks. So it's nice to have, longer conversations.
Yeah, West is like a music festival. It's just so intense. Well, want to quickly introduce the format of the podcast. So as we are in a truck, there are going to be a few stops along this route. Stop one's going to be origin stories, founder stories, all of the inflection moments, nature versus nurture, and things that got you to starting Wildwonder.
Yeah.
Stop 2, we will dive deep on Wildwonder, talk about where it's been, where it's going, things that you're excited about. And stop 3, we'll wrap with a game we call the Hot Box, which is a this or that style question game modeled off the hot seat. And then we'll outro, wrap, and go from there. Sound good?
Awesome.
Okay, cool. So let's get into Rosa's early life. So you have one of the most unique upbringings, and instead of me hashing it, why don't we hear it from yourself, going all the way back to being somewhat raised by your grandmother?
Yeah. My grandparents raised me for the first 12 years of my life in Beijing, China. And I mean, that's truly the origin of Wildwonder. She brewed a lot of these healing tonics based in Eastern herbal wisdom, really good for just overall wellness, not just necessarily focused on digestive health, but it's always very calming. And, she would always greet me with a cup of tea every time I came back from school or playing outside. So that really instilled in me the philosophy of food as medicine.
Right.
And I moved to the US when I was 12 to Indiana, out of all places. So it was, a huge cultural shock because I went from one very non-diverse place being all Chinese to another very non-diverse place being very
the
Caucasian.
Opposite.
Yeah. I remember the first time I showed up in high school and people were looking at me like I was from Mars. They literally never seen an Asian around. And I went to a very large public high school. 800 people in my class alone. I can count the number of Asians on one hand. That includes South Asians too. So just definitely not diverse at all. Obviously after I graduated college, I lived on the East Coast. I was in New York. I lived on the West Coast. So it's really amazing to see diversity. And one of the reasons we're bringing this beverage to the market is also to bring more representation to the space. So, it's really awesome to see a lot of the globally inspired flavors now. So we really want to bring more heritage-inspired and gut-healthy ingredients to the masses. Through something that's very delicious, like Wildwonder. I like to say this is a culmination of grandma wisdom with the concept of a California produce stand. So very food-forward, very delicious, but delivering all the functional benefits.
Awesome. And so what pulled you to the coast? You said you lived on the East Coast and the West Coast, right?
Yeah.
So what was the catalyst to move out of Indiana?
Yeah, I never wanted to live in Indiana or the Midwest. I was always attracted to bigger cities with more culture. And so I started my career in finance. So I worked in New York. Actually, that the other motivation for starting this beverage company is I worked some stressful jobs from investment banking to private equity. I used to be on the investing side, looking at portfolio companies from the early pre-revenue stage to the Fortune 500 stage companies. So, actually went to my doctor at one point. I was traveling a lot as very stressful job. And he said, "You're the first woman who over-reported her weight by 15 pounds. And I said, "Why would I ever do that?" And then realized I was, not living a healthy lifestyle. I was not sleeping well, having some digestive issues, and apparently losing weight. So, so I decided to look more into wellness, learn more about gut health. Actually got my microbiome checked. Started just believing in gut health and really wanted to do something in the kind of health and wellness space. I'm a huge foodie. I don't believe in giving up taste for health. So after I graduated from business school at Stanford, I decided to do something I'm personally passionate about. It's really combining all these motivating factors, the heritage element, the gut health element, and just my love for food to bring this to the market.
Is your grandmother still with us?
She's living in Beijing. I'm actually going to visit her later
How
this year.
proud is she?
So I'm very excited. I don't know. I think she's pretty excited. She believes that my drinks are better tasting than hers. So from that aspect, she likes it. I mean, obviously, this is not available in China right now, so it's only in the US. Not yet. So one day we'll expand internationally. But yeah, she's happy that I'm doing something that's like truly meaningful.
Yeah. Awesome. I know it's sort of a weird question, but like, who checks on your microbiome and like what are they checking?
Oh my gosh. So there's
I feel like there's a lot of this is like hot right now. People probably want to do this and don't know how.
Totally. There's a bunch of companies doing this, and if you literally just Google microbiome tests, you'll see a bunch of them pop up. So I went with one of them that's based in California. They basically send you a kit at home.
Okay.
You get like real close and personal, and then you grab it's basically take a piece of your feces and then ship it back, and they'll do a bunch of lab testing and tell you, okay, compared to the population they've tested, are you average? Are you above average? Do you lack certain good healthy bacteria? Maybe you have too much bad bacteria. So they'll basically do a bunch of testing to evaluate your overall gut health. And obviously there's, kind of the next step is how do you treat that? Are you lacking certain things that you should be eating and maybe supplements and whatnot. So it's pretty exciting.
Cool. Yeah, that's awesome. And as sort of a follow-up question, what is the difference between pre and probiotics?
Yeah, that's a good question.
I feel like they get thrown around sometimes interchangeably. So I'd love to sort of...
Generally speaking, there's a lack of awareness and knowledge in the space. People will think it's similar as, good for gut health. That's enough for folks to buy, supplements or drink. Probiotics are the healthy gut bacteria, and prebiotics essentially is a food for probiotics to thrive. So,
interesting.
Probiotics are live, right? So similar to humans, we need food to be fully functional, to be productive. So same thing with probiotics. So with prebiotics, they actually just run more efficiently. So both are very crucial components of a healthy gut.
Okay, got it. Yes, because I see some that only have one and some that have both. And it seems like having both sort of makes a ton of sense just so it can operate efficiently.
Yeah, there's actually a supplement company. They're big. It's called Seed. So it's the first to put prebiotics and probiotics, a more holistic way to approach gut health in one pill. We're essentially doing that for beverages. Obviously, the kombuchas of the world, that they focus on the probiotic side. I mean, GT started 25 years ago, to bring that knowledge to the space. And now there's Olipop and Poppy doing more prebiotic education. So, we're not trying to pick sides. I'm saying there's a more holistic way to approach gut health. Why not think, don't have to worry about, do I drink prebiotics and then probiotics? Some people actually ask us that because they're like, well, it's called prebiotics. So do I need to drink it before something? And I mean, the answer is no. It's basically plant fiber. It feeds the probiotics and make them run more efficiently.
Okay. And I have another question. Is there anyone who shouldn't be consuming pre or probiotics, or is it sort of safe for everyone? And is there quantities?
Yeah, I mean, good question. We usually, obviously, if someone has certain health issues, if they're, maybe it's pregnant people, we always ask people to consult with their dietitian or doctor. If they have questions, we don't want to play that role for people, but generally speaking, it's safe. We have customers who are parents, kids, they all enjoy this drink. And it's also non-caffeinated. So from that aspect, it's pretty safe.
Yeah. Awesome. Okay. Step 2. I want to get into Wildwonder. So how would you describe Wildwonder in your own words?
Well, we are a delicious and bubbly drink for better gut health.
All right. Love it. And how many flavors do you have?
We currently have 5 flavors.
5 flavors. What are they?
Strawberry Passion is our #1 seller. The other flavors are Guava Rose, Mango Gold, peach ginger. Our newest flavor is pineapple paradise.
Pineapple Paradise.
Yeah.
Okay, I haven't had that one yet. I'm gonna have to stop by.
We'll
Is
change
what?
that. This is the mango,
Mango
gold.
Gold. Yeah. I love the guava one. I think that
Guava
one's-
was my favorite until actually recently I got really into mango, which is why
Okay.
this is here.
All right. So how do you, let's double click on that. How do you think about SKU development and launch? So, we've had a lot of different guests on the podcast. Some of them very into the science and the data and like, okay, what's a gap in the market? Other people going very focused on community and getting that quick feedback and doing like LTOs and things like that. So how do you think about SKU development? And I have a second question, like how, a lot of people are thinking about building brands in the consumer space. Like, what's the right number of SKUs? How do you figure out when it's too many? Like, I hear a lot of like, let's colonize the shelf, let's get more space, but box out, stuff like that. So we'd love to just get into SKU development and SKU like logic.
Great question. I would say for us, everything needs to be on brand, and our brand is rooted in culture. So that's a heritage piece, right? Eastern herbal wisdom. And then it's also adopting the concept of a California produce stand. So there's two components in every SKU. It's the herbal part, and then there's the fruit part. So in this one, for instance, is fresh brewed turmeric root with mango puree.
Got it.
And we want to make sure the botanical and herbal element pairs really well with the fruit element, and that all makes sense.
Okay.
Our flavors are essentially healthy twists on tropical sodas. So you look at the flavor, the lineup is all very tropical, right? Guava, mango, pineapple, strawberry passion, that's passion fruit juice. So we want to make sure the herbal is there and the functional benefits is there, but then it tastes really fruit forward and really bubbly. So, and then the other part of your question is, about SKUs. I mean, to me, you can have a great brand with just one product. Look at vitamin water, right? It's,
Athletic Greens. I mean,
yeah, there we go.
Fairly simple.
And it's also, from a inventory management, business scaling, like it's much easier to have fewer SKUs. I've seen a lot of brands that launch a ton of SKUs and then they have to SKU rationalize over time. You always have non-performing SKUs, right? So we want to make sure that every time we launch something, whatever we really push, is highly productive on shelf. And we actually like rank our SKUs and we look at, okay, what's not performing? Can we make some tweaks? So one of the examples is like Mango Gold. We launched it as Mango Turmeric. And based on consumer feedback, we responded to that and we actually tweaked the formulation and we renamed it, and then all of a sudden it performed better. So I don't think you need that many SKUs. We're actually very I would say we're very disciplined in terms of launching new SKUs. Every year we only do about one. And that's usually after interviews, surveys, and we look at what people like and what's on brand for us.
Yeah, awesome. Okay. So on the topic of launching, I know we talked about launching SKUs. Let's talk about launching Wildwonder, because there's a pretty non-linear, wild launch story of the global pandemic,
in the startup world.
and now crushing in retail. So why don't you take us through what the lay of the land was when you launched it and how it's evolved since then?
Yeah. So you probably heard the Shark Tank story. I was really ready to launch in food service because I had a lot of POs, these very health conscious offices, they serve beverages and snacks, and large POs going on to like the Ubers and Squares of the world. I was super excited to like bring it to the health conscious offices, really large tech companies, and all of a sudden the pandemic hit. That completely wiped out that whole channel. So the business I imagined, which like no longer exists. And then I basically just drove my car and went door to door to, I knocked on probably over 100 doors in about a month or so. And the mom and pops around the corner.
Independents,
and sold the product into the stores. And I think launched March 2020. And the other thing I did was I also like drove a truck down to Expo West, because that's where I was going to launch the brand. I was going to build a booth, and obviously the pandemic hit, so that show was canceled. So I drove it right back. Decided to just keep driving and go to all the stores.
I love that.
But by the end of year one, we were actually stocked in 100 stores.
Okay.
And including our local Whole Foods. So that's, they heard about us. They had basically 2 spaces on shelf, and the local forager.
Is it just like a local one? Don't they like do regional?
Local Whole Foods meaning like NorCal Whole Foods.
Okay,
I'm based in California. I'm based in NorCal, San Francisco.
Got it.
So
That's a pretty big unlock.
Yeah, definitely. The local forager discovered us. It's so funny. I'm like watching someone walking around with our bag.
Yeah.
It's like
they
really
look great.
exciting.
They look great.
Yeah. So we launched our local Whole Foods and a bunch of stores, and just started going from there. Obviously got a lot of feedback from the market immediately. We launched in a glass bottle. So I don't know if you even know. Maybe if you search for Wildwonder online, you see some glass bottles.
Yeah.
For first year, we did that, and then immediately learned that that's just not like as fast velocity, and especially with COVID, everyone went more online. So they were shopping online, they were shopping on Amazon. So we essentially said like, well, startup, we got to iterate fast. So we listened to our customers, we looked at trends, and we said, let's go into cans because it's more accessible. It's easier for shipping, less optimized for more online purchases, especially given like the whole food service channel is closed.
Right.
And based on customer feedback, they liked our products because for a kombucha, if you think about the glass bottle, they kind of nurse it over the day because one is vinegary, they're not going to chug it, they're not going to drink it that fast. And the glass bottle does feel like it's not as accessible.
Right.
And people were actually telling us with cans, it just feels more accessible, and you can actually, go through a bunch of cans a day.
Right.
Which to me is great because you increase the repeat purchase, you increase the velocity. We want to be an accessible brand. So we converted the cans, immediately saw a huge impact from that, both online and on retail shelves.
Yeah. Why glass in the first place? Was it an MOQ thing? I've heard sometimes it's easier to get started with glass.
That's a good guess. For us, it's really our first target customer. Or like the problem we're trying to solve when we first launched, it's actually for to make kombucha more accessible. So essentially, this is kombucha benefits without the vinegar. We have probiotics, it's a pre and probiotic drink, but the thing that people know most about is probiotics. No one really knew what prebiotics is. They still are confused, right?
We're fixing that with this podcast.
Yeah, there we go. So essentially people are treating this as kombucha benefits without the vinegar. And so we wanted to look like a kombucha as well. That's how people will see, okay, we can get Wildwonder and we get the benefits. It actually tastes really good.
Right.
So we launched in a glass bottle so people understand what the product is. But we quickly learned that, the packaging actually was stopping people from purchasing more. And if you think about the different occasions, you can go to a picnic, bring a can with you. It's really easy. We, work in food service and hospitality, and cans are just a lot more accessible.
Yeah, awesome. All right, where in that story does Shark Tank fit in?
We taped for Shark Tank late last year.
Okay.
And then it aired in January this year.
Okay.
So obviously that was a huge boost to brand awareness. A lot of people didn't know about us, and all of a sudden we got this influx of customers from all over the country.
Yeah.
Right? Because before we really focused on California, on the West Coast. And then so Shark Tank really brought some national spotlight to us, and that was just amazing because we never spent money on marketing.
Right.
And now we realize how awesome and impactful marketing is.
Yeah, I love that. And what happened for people who haven't seen it?
Well, the drink was very popular on Shark Tank. Every
Mark,
shark
even chug it or something.
Yeah. So every shark loved it, and they all said this is amazing. My first goal with Shark Tank is really for the judges and the sharks to love the taste. Right. So we got to have the right product and a good product for people to like it. And Mark Cuban actually said, and I quote him, I can't stand kombucha. I can drink this all day long, and this is really good. I'll buy it. He was holding a can of Strawberry Passion. He chugged it, and immediately, I think online sales for that product just went
that
out the
SKU?
roof. Well,
oh my God, that's hilarious.
We have really good variety packs from Shark Tank customers that we offered.
Right.
So that's our basically the SKU that sold the most.
Yeah.
Because we specifically bundled a Shark Tank variety pack.
Smart.
Out of all single SKUs though, Strawberry Passion is the best seller, and it's like by far the best seller because of what Mark Cuban said.
Love that.
And that's truly our number one. I do think Shark Tank was very impactful from a sales perspective because we went out of stock on Amazon within 2 hours of airing.
Yeah, it's wild.
And everyone then went to our D2C site.
Right. And so you got an investment.
We got an investment. We got a deal from the guest shark, who's the CEO of DoorDash.
Awesome.
So that was super awesome. And he was a shark that I was going after because he could actually bring distribution value for us.
Totally.
So we're actually onboarding with DoorDash right now.
Wow, how fun.
Very excited.
Demystify the process for people who want like a peek behind the curtain. Like, how did you get contacted?
Yeah.
How long was the filming? Like, what are all the weird details that might not be public?
Yeah. I mean, there's a lot of details, and I would say I've never signed so much paperwork in my life. You literally have to sign right away for everything. I mean, I sent in a logo, I sent in a picture.
Yeah.
Because this brand was inspired by my grandmother, and I was showing pictures with grandma. Grandma had to sign
DocuSign.
Yeah,
to grandma
had to sign a piece of document saying that she gives away the rights to her image.
Name, image, and likeness. I'm dead.
It's hilarious. And my grandma's in China. I was
I know.
Oh, that's gonna be rough.
No, that's so funny.
And so the whole process, I mean, it's long.
Right.
So they typically reach out to people earlier in the year, and the season, when it airs, it goes from September to maybe April the next year. And there's 2 tapings. There's one taping in July and there's one taping in September.
Okay.
And basically they tape the entire season during those 2 chunks of time.
Okay.
And so in July, I mean, it's the same period of time. They probably tape like 8 to 10 companies a day, and it goes for like 10 days.
Okay.
They basically fly all the sharks and all the companies there,
right.
They intensely produce an entire show for these 2 periods of time.
It's pretty efficient.
It's very efficient. It's a lot of work.
Yeah.
They have all these people scouting companies. So someone actually reached out to us.
Okay.
And pitched Shark Tank and said, "Hey, I think your company could be a really good fit." Someone reached out to me actually during COVID in 2020. And at that time, this is when the world shut down.
Right.
Our co-packer even shut down for a month because
brutal.
People got sick. So I didn't respond to them because I was like, well, we're not ready because we need to make sure our products are good and we're ready to scale. So a year later, I reached out and I said,
I'm ready.
I'm fashionably late to respond, but I hope you can still listen to our pitch.
That's so funny.
And I pitched them the story that we have, the product, and they loved it. So started going through the process, and the whole preparation process takes about 2 to 3 months too.
Okay.
So you get vetted on like literally everything. The application process is also extremely long. So they ask you, anything from the last 10 years, every place you've lived. I think that's to make sure you're not a criminal or you're legit, to, financial information about the company.
Right.
To like how much money you raised. Because they also don't want someone to go in just for marketing. They want people who are truly looking for funding and people who haven't really raised that much. So I mean, I got on Zoom calls with the producers once a week.
Okay.
Go through the pitch, go through the staging, and talk through the story. And you get a taping date. And by the way, this entire process, every time I got on a call with them, they would tell me, there's no guarantee. You could be cut tomorrow. Just because you go through this process doesn't mean that you're going to tape. And just because you tape doesn't mean you get to air.
Right.
So there's a lot of risk involved.
Yeah.
But I always tell people it's worth it. Just go for
totally.
it. Yeah,
How much heads up do they give you? Like, there's obviously a ton to get in order before it goes live, but they also don't give you a ton of time.
Yeah. So you're asking how much time do they give me before they air?
Yeah.
Okay, 3 weeks.
3 weeks.
Yeah. So
what were those 3 weeks like?
Well, we basically told our warehouse to start prepping for inventory.
Yeah.
Yeah, everyone worked overtime.
Oh man.
And thankfully we are produced in the US. So like just think about
Oh
people
man, if it
who
was international,
have to do international
be screwed.
production. And if you have to get inventory in from anywhere outside the US, I mean that takes like months. So there are some people who really took a risk and said, okay, they're gonna bet that they're gonna air.
Right.
And they basically prep the inventory before they even got notice about
Right.
airing. So for us, it's more let's wait and see. So when we got notified, that was my Christmas gift. I literally was skiing in Tahoe, and this was Christmas Eve.
Yeah.
And I woke up to an email saying, "Hey, you're gonna be aired in like the second week of January." And I was like, wow, looks like Santa's here.
Yeah, for real.
Got the perfect Christmas gift.
Yeah.
Except
but everyone's also out of office.
Everyone is on vacation, so I could not do anything for a whole week.
Oh, that's hilarious. All right. Well, I want to wrap up by talking a little bit about the future of Wildwonder. So where is Wildwonder today? Where can people find Wildwonder?
Yeah, so we're in close to 2,000 doors across the country. So we started obviously with California, West Coast. Now we've expanded to East Coast as well. So some of the retail partners we have include Whole Foods, Sprouts, Wegmans, basically all the regional natural retailers you can think of. We also earlier this year launched with Target, so that's really exciting.
Awesome.
Yeah, if you go on our website locator, you can find a store near you.
Cool. What's been the hardest part of launching retail? Obviously, nationwide, a lot of things to think about. How do you balance it all? What's been the biggest surprise for you?
There's a ton of surprises. I would say retail, I mean, every retailer is different. It obviously requires a lot of care. So, sometimes we can say we get a PO and maybe the stores don't get deliveries. So we had to, we had to work with Target a lot on making sure there's no out of stock issues at the store level.
Right.
So there's kind of learnings from every retail account based on the nuances about that retailer. So I think just because of the intensity of all the launches, and we had a lot of launches altogether, like this year, we grew over 400%. So it's just hyper growth, and the team is also small but mighty. And we all had to take care of a lot of different things beyond what we did last year. So I think it's a really great learning experience for everyone. But very hectic. So I would say that's the biggest challenge is everyone's spread really thin, and we had to learn really quickly. And learn about every single retailer very, very quickly to make sure we take care of our customers.
Awesome. 2 more questions. One, what's one piece of advice you'd have for people that are thinking about launching their own business, getting ready to take that leap?
I would just say do something that you're really passionate about, because the entrepreneurial journey is just full of ups and downs. It's very chaotic. And you want that, you want something that you're deeply passionate about, so you have a North Star to really motivate you and keep you going. I mean, there's just so many rough days people don't really talk about. I'm sure you know. So,
For sure.
I'm truly passionate about bringing representation to the food system, bringing these heritage-inspired and gut-healthy ingredients to the masses, and that really drives me to, take Wildwonder to that next stage.
Awesome. And then what's next for Wildwonder?
So many things. Well, we are a national brand now, so our next focus is to really make sure we get from here to essentially, going from 3,000 doors to 10,000 doors.
Right.
And it's not just about door count, it's really about how we perform on shelf. So I've always focused more on velocity than points of distribution.
Right.
We actually said no to East Coast for a long time. We said no to beyond,
It's a huge mistake people make.
Beyond California for a long time. So, given where we are in revenue versus how many door count, we actually have super high revenue per door. So that's always the focus, is be top 3 in the category from a velocity standpoint.
Right.
And eventually be, the product for the everyday consumer.
Yeah. I say grow where you know is a phrase I love.
I like that.
Yeah, where it's all right. Nationwide launch, awesome, but sometimes just a vanity metric if you're not set up to succeed there.
Yeah.
All right, stop 3. You ready for the hot box?
Yeah.
All right, let's get into it. Ready? Here we go. Cold plunge or hot tub?
Ooh, hot tub and then cold plunge.
Yeah. Hot, cold, hot. Beach house or ski house?
Beach house.
You just said you were skiing during the shark thing. All right, we'll laugh. Coffee or tea?
Ooh, coffee in the morning, tea in the afternoon.
All right. Sunrise or sunset?
Sunrise.
D2C or DTC?
D2C.
That one's got some fun responses.
Yeah.
Neat or messy?
Neat.
Corgi or golden retriever?
Golden retriever.
Tennis or golf?
Tennis.
Pineapple pizza or candy corn?
Pineapple pizza.
Live music or DJ?
Oh, DJ.
So, sweet snacks or salty snacks?
Oh gosh, salty.
Okay. Call or text?
Text.
Reading or writing?
Reading.
Twitter, LinkedIn, Instagram, or TikTok?
Oh, this is gonna really tell my age. I'm gonna go with Instagram.
All right. MySpace wasn't an option. Dancing or people watching?
Depending on where. I'll say dancing.
Okay. Cocktails or beers?
Cocktails.
Give up bread for life or cheese for life?
Can we do a combination of both?
Fair. Board games or video games?
Board games.
Bet $50 on red or black?
I think I've done black before.
Okay.
Yeah.
Start early or leave late?
Start early.
Fiction or nonfiction?
Nonfiction.
Playlists or podcasts?
Podcast.
Okay. Speak to animals or speak 10 languages?
Languages.
Okay. Telepathy or teleportation?
Oh, that's a fun one. Teleportation.
Okay. Trucks or billboards?
Well, I'm in a truck, so trucks.
There we go. Receive good news or bad news first?
Oh gosh. Yes, bad news first.
All right. Well, the bad news is we're at our last stop of the show. So
and what's the good news?
I don't know. It's also over. You could go back to your day. But no, this was a ton of fun. Thanks so much
I
for
had so much fun talking to you.
hanging with us. I wanted to wrap up by giving you a chance to tell the audience where they can connect and learn more about yourself, where they can find Wildwonder. So take it away.
Awesome. Yeah, Wildwonder can be found at Wildwonder, Drink Wildwonder. So that's the handle you use for all social
Socials.
media platforms. So feel free to ping me on LinkedIn as well.
Cool. And where can they find it? Some stores?
Well, there's
lot
about
to name.
3,000 doors. Check our website, drinkwildwonder.com.
Cool. Awesome. That's a wrap.
All right.
Bang.
I
Great
like
job.
the,
That was fun.
I like the kind of the speed
Hot
choice.
box?
Yeah.
Thanks. Hope
So
that
I
was
think
fun.
there was like another